Hi everyone, it's me, Sakura, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're going to be reacting to Michelin Cottage Pie at Home. Um, this video just came out yesterday. I haven't seen it yet, so we're going to react to it together. But before we react to it, um, if you like my reaction videos, definitely hit the like button and subscribe button because every little bit helps me make more of these videos. Now, with that said, let's get into it.
Cottage pie is one of those dishes that everyone thinks they know, but often it's flat and a bit disappointing. This is a version from a 2 Michelin star restaurant that'll absolutely blow your socks off.
I love cottage pie and shepherd's pie. If you have no idea what cottage pie is beef. So, and shepherd's pie is sheep, lamb. So, if you ever go to a restaurant and you order shepherd's pie and it says beef on the menu, that's not actually shepherd's pie. That's cottage pie. It would be shepherd's pie if it were made with lamb.
Is a dish, I reckon, that's been badly made across the UK.
I mean, they're both good, but you can't just use that term interchangeably
For such a long time. And it was only when I was reading this book, The Ritz, John Williams, MBE, that I saw this version of a cottage pie. To be honest, it really got me inspired about what this dish could potentially be. And
I think those are short ribs.
having cooked it, slightly changed it just to make it a little bit more accessible and affordable. A bit of work, but it really elevates something that everyone thinks of as just like that staple British dish that they have as a mid.
I mean, if it's a Michelin, if it's a Michelin pie, then yeah, it'll probably be made with something like short rib or a really high-end cut.
Week meal to something really remarkable and special. So for those who don't know, the Ritz is a 2 Michelin star restaurant, recently awarded 2 Michelin stars. It was actually a 1 star for a long time, for years and years and years. It recently got a 2 star. I think this sort of move towards really sort of good quality, traditional, fine dining, I suppose.
Wait, is that short rib?
It's an amazing restaurant. Me and Jack had the pleasure of getting suited and booted and going there. And it was absolutely awesome. It was such an amazing experience. John Williams is like this sort of world-renowned.
See, that kind of thing is way too formal for me.
Classical chef who heads up the Ritz. He calls for oxtail. Oxtail's great. It is quite hard to get, and it's quite expensive. So
yeah, see, it's probably like $400 or $500 or something like that. Probably really expensive.
essentially, the reason he's using oxtail is because of that magical thing.
Oh, is that oxtail?
Called collagen. Oxtail's got lots and lots of natural
Okay, it is
collagen in there. We actually decided that we were going to use chunks of short rib.
Oh no, that's not. Okay, so I was right in the first place. That is short rib.
And chunks of shin. Short rib, lots and lots of natural collagen. Shin, slightly leaner, much cheaper cut. Lots more sinews running through it. Obviously one of the hardest working parts of the cow. But perfect for something like this, which
I love short rib. These kind of short ribs are really good for making Korean stews and soups like garbitang or garbijim.
requires you to do a long braise. Should mention traditionally, or what most people would recognise, cottage pie would always use minced beef. It's important. People always say that.
Yes, most of the time, in normal restaurants, people do use, ground beef or ground lamb.
This is to seal the juices in, but it's not. It's to basically to develop layers of flavour. If you think that that's at the outside there, this fond is going to go into the sauce and make it really robust. So once you've got like your meat really nicely browned all over, you're looking for golden brown, not too dark. Take your meat out. Okay, and then in this pan, which we've obviously got all this amazing flavour, we're just going to add our red wine. So notice I'm reducing my red wine sort of separately first. If you put it in when it's got all the alcohol, you get this sort of like winey flavour. So I just want to reduce it until it's really nice and sweet. So whilst that cooks, we can get ahead and make our mash. So what I often find with cottage pie.
Yes, in shepherd's pie, there is a layer of mashed potato on top.
I mean, I absolutely love it, to be honest. It's proper like, sort of like English staple. I was made it a lot when I was a kid, but what I often find is that the mash is kind of like a little bit watery, and that's normally when it's made by boiling the potatoes. It gets like unwanted moisture in there, making really good mash.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a watery mashed potato before on a cottage pie or shepherd's pie.
Mash is all about getting rid of moisture, and the best way to do that is to roast. Now, this is just an agreed potato.
At least not anywhere I've been.
You can use a Yukon Gold. It's probably better to stick with something that's a little bit sweeter and a little bit more waxy. Like the secret to this recipe is actually the mash. Where it differs from normal recipes, this is what they call a pomme duchesse. So a pomme duchesse is an enriched mash with egg yolks. Stabbing all over, all you were thinking.
That sounds weird. To put egg yolks and mashed potatoes
About here is extracting as much moisture.
I've never heard of that. I know some people put mayonnaise in mashed potato. I'm not a big fan of mayonnaise, so don't ever give me mashed potatoes with mayonnaise in it.
From the potato as possible. That's why the salt's down there. That's why we sort of permeate that skin. All we want to do now is cook this at 180 for around about 55 to 65 minutes. You just want to cook it until it's completely soft. Your knife goes in and the potato falls off. We're just going to make a bouquet garni using the part of the leek that you typically don't use, the green part. And then we put all of our aromats inside. So we've got a bay leaf traditionally, little sprig of thyme, a few things of rosemary, a flavour tea bag in your sauce. So it's going to sit there really happily whilst your meat braises, releasing all of those beautiful aromas, oils that's sort of natural inside the herbs. And then this just makes it really easy to pull out. Our wine's almost reduced, way over by half at the moment. Just taste it just until what you were looking for is basically.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone put wine in a cottage shepherd's pie. But again, this is a Michelin cottage pie.
The tannins to have escaped, and basically what you want is this sort of residual sweetness. So with this recipe, I'm just using a little bit of beef stock and equal parts chicken. It's already quite beefy, and I don't want it to be too heavy. Either beef or chicken, it would be fine. But I just like my cottage pie a little bit lighter. So I've got some reduced chicken stock and some beef stock in there. Just whack your meat back in there with your bouquet garni as well. So stock goes on. Let's try, and some of our discerning viewers will probably at this point recognize that I'm obviously going to put a nice big fat cartouche on there as well. Give the people what they want, as they say. In the oven, 160 for around about 3.5 hours.
160 degrees Celsius or 160 degree Fahrenheit. I'm guessing he means Celsius since he's in the UK and every other country in the world uses the metric system.
You want it to be pulling away really nicely, and you want that liquid to reduce. Right, potatoes are cooked, cool down slightly. These ones took about an hour. They're a little bit bigger than I would normally get. Tap off some of that salt, allow them to steam slightly. You look at this potato. It's really dry and fluffy all around that exterior, and then just the center is still nice and moist. It sort of shows exactly why this technique of roasting them is the best. And then we're gonna scoop into a bowl. So it was invented by someone called Antoine Carême, and this is when potatoes were...
I have no idea who that is. Antoine Carême. I don't know who that
sort of making their way into grand banquets, and you can manipulate and change the shape of a pomme duchesse, which was very on trend at the time. The Ritz is, you know what, the best word to describe...
So, I'm guessing this is a old-fashioned type of mashed potato, a pomme duchesse. I'll have to look that up later.
Describe the Ritz. Pretentious? No, I didn't say that. The best word to describe the Ritz is opulent. I guess actually in a way, the Ritz is kind of completely the opposite of what fallow is. Potato into a ricer. Like I've said before, I really like using a ricer because it doesn't work the starch in the potato too much. So you get a much nicer consistency. The next stage, just to make it even more smooth and glossy, we're gonna pass it for a tammy sieve. This is optional. You can just take it this far. It's still
A what?
gonna make a beautiful pomme duchesse. So passing it through your tammy. Yeah, this is quite a specialist bit of kit, but if you don't have a tammy, just use a little sieve instead. So whilst we're passing off the potato, melt.
Okay, that, what's it called? That paint scraper or whatever the pizza people use.
Your butter, 70 grams of butter. And we've got 70 grams of butter, which is gonna enrich our potato mix, and we have 3 egg yolks as well. Okay, so once we've got our potato mix, pass through the sieve, whack it into a bowl, and then we're gonna fold in our butter in there with our egg yolks as well.
Now, butter, I understand, because butter gives more flavor.
I'm just gonna whack a tiny bit of seasoning in there. A really important thing, I think, with this mashed potato is just a little bit of pepper and some grated nutmeg. I don't want to mix it too hard at this stage because I don't want to sort of activate the starch in the potato too much. So this is obviously quite different to mashed potato. It wants to form like a nice protective layer over the mix as it bakes. So it needs to be a little bit stiffer. And the way that you get that perfect finish that you can see is to make sure that the mix is nice and firm. If it's too soft and too much fat, it'll basically bubble and foam whilst it cooks, and you'll get this almost like spongy texture. If it's too firm, it won't have a nice...
I think this is too complicated to make at home. These are all, technical skills, I'm sure, require years and years of learning.
Consistency when it's finished cooking. So we're just gonna add in a bit of butter into a pan, and we're just gonna put...
Your average home cook isn't going to have all this technical knowledge.
Sweat off our mirepoix. So for this mix, I'm using shallots. If you don't have shallots, you can easily just buy a nice white onion would be just as comparable. Our carrots, follow the shape of it around, you get these nice little chunks of mushroom. Just gonna cook those in a little bit of foaming butter. We've already got like a really nice caramelization on that beef, so we're not looking for a huge amount of color here. Now we're just gonna add in our mushrooms, turn the heat up slightly. Okay, all the moisture's come out of the mushrooms. Now we're just gonna add in our carrots and just finish these cooking. We want a nice golden color on all this veg without the pan getting too much color. Okay, now add in a bit of tomato puree and then just cook that.
I've seen people add tomato puree
out. So you might be curious why always recipes ask you to cook out the tomato puree. And it's basically to start to caramelize the sugars that's naturally in there. It also kind of removes that sort of metallic tin flavor. So that's been in there now for about 3.5 hours.
Honestly, I've never cooked out tomato puree like that before, and I never get a tin flavor.
Beautiful and thick. That shin's broken down nicely now. The short ribs completely broken down. Obviously,
wow, that looks nice and rich.
with the shin, using these two different meats together is a really nice touch because the shin and the short rib cooks
Oh, look how that meat is just falling apart.
slightly differently. So the shin will give you still a little bit of texture, whereas the short rib is really beautiful and melting and soft. So what I'm going to do is...
So, whenever I want to buy short ribs, I have to go to a Asian supermarket because American supermarkets give you like all bone, all a bunch of fat, and almost zero meat. That's the same way with the um Korean barbecue style short ribs as well in American stores. They give you almost all bone and almost no meat. So usually I have to drive like on a journey with a cooler to go to a Korean supermarket and pick up, meat from a Korean supermarket.
is just take out the meat and lay it into the dish that I'm going to ultimately be serving it in.
Sorry, just small side tangent.
And then I just want to make sure that I finish this sauce and get it to the perfect
Oh, look at all that meat. It's so soft.
consistency before it goes into the pot. Pour this into the pan, and then I can just keep this going to adjust the consistency. The thought behind the original recipe using oxtail is that the collagen thickens the sauce, and short rib and shin is also a really good replacement for that. So my little secret ingredient there is just a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. It's almost like a gastrique, I guess.
You should add a little bit of MSG to it too, to make the flavors of all of that pop.
So now,
Because that's what MSG does. It brings out the umami in food.
mix all your meat into your pot, and then just mix all the ingredients together.
I bet a shepherd's pie with some MSG and all of that. Oh man, that would taste so good.
Now I want to keep the chunks of meat, almost like Marco's sort of ragu recipe. You want the big chunks of meat in there, and this is what I mean about having really nice bits of texture from the shin, slightly more sort of hache from the short rib. It's really good because we've only sauteed the veg. They've still got a bit of texture before they go into that final cook. Okay, so put it into your pan, your chosen pan. The mixture should be nice and thick. So leave yourself a good maybe inch for the potato, because we're sort of sealing it in. Start on the outside and work your way around. And what we want actually is a nice sort of domed shape. So you want it to be nice and generous all the way.
Well, that's a interesting way of making a shepherd's pie. Usually you put it on like a baking sheet or something like that, or like no, not a baking sheet. What are those called? The Pyrex glass.
To the top. And then nice little hack for you.
A glass dish.
What I'm doing here is just creating a really nice smooth surface, and this is why a Duchess is so much more indulgent than just normal mashed potato. So this is just melted butter. You can use clarified, I'm just using melted. The butter solids will help the top caramelize, so it really doesn't matter too much. And that is this perfect dome shape. Probably the most common way to do this is with a fork, but really nice thing. This is a palette knife. You can use, basically anything. The back of a spoon also works. But basically what we want to do, and this is why we put a nice layer of mash in there, is just
okay, for like a decoration or something.
press down. And you just get this really beautiful symmetry. I mean, it almost looks like the scales of a fish. So the ridges also give the whole thing a bit more of a beautiful finish, both texturally but also visually. It's going to go in the oven now at 160 for around about 25 minutes. Look at that. So just to give it one little bit of extra decadence, just a tiny bit more.
Oh, that looks good.
Oh, just melted butter. John Williams, hope I've done you proud. Okay, so to verify whether or not we did justice to the John Williams 2 Michelin star Ritz version cottage pie, we have our resident group head chef,
Fun fact, John Williams is also a composer for movies. So I'm thinking they're 2 different John Williams.
Jake, who?
Used to work for John Williams.
John
At the
Williams.
Ritz.
Yeah, there we go. What, 5 years?
5 years in that kitchen, yeah.
Was it a good 5 years?
Where I learned how to cook.
Really?
Yeah.
So what is it, do you think, about John Williams that's got this? How
That looks really, really yummy.
does he have the edge on other Michelin kitchens?
The biggest thing he does, which is really, really great, is he sticks with tradition. So a lot of the recipes, a lot of the cooking style, a lot of the products they use, only the best and in a very traditional way. And really staying true to that in the way they cook is probably what he has that a lot of chefs don't.
And some people say he's like the best saucier in the world, right?
Yeah, learning to cook sauces there, learning to make stocks there, it was amazing.
And was a version of this ever on the menu then?
It was on the menu, never the Ritz restaurant menu because that was always more fine dining, but in terms of the cooking for the hotel, for the guests, for the in-room dining, classic dishes like this were always knocking around.
Do you think I've done him justice?
I think so.
He wouldn't open me up. I've heard he's a bit of a beast.
He might give you a few words.
Shit! You know who tried it yet?
Let's see how it tastes. It's not your tradition.
I bet that tastes really good and really.
No.
It's better. It's better. It's definitely better. The richness, the meatiness, like all the flavor profiles coming through.
I think one key takeaway is using the right meat. You need that collagen to thicken the sauce and enriching the potato.
Okay, guys. Well, another awesome video. You know, these guys, they make really, really good food and obviously some really, really good content. I would say for me, this might be a little bit too complicated to make at home. But it looks really, really delicious. Anyways, if you like their content, definitely give them a like and subscribe. And if you like my reactions to these kinds of content, give me a like and subscribe because every little bit helps me make more of these videos. Until next time, bye.